Turn now to Cheryl Dorsey for more insight on racial discrimination and violence and calls for police reform. She's a retired sergeant with the Los Angeles Police Department, a social justice advocate, also an author, and she joins us from Los Angeles. Cheryl, what has really changed with police reform? Has anything changed of substance, meaningful change, in the 2 years since the murder of George Floyd?
Nothing has changed in the 2 years since the murder of George Floyd. Nothing has changed in the 6, 7, 8 years since there was a spate of deadly police force incidents, beginning with Eric Garner and Mike Brown and Ezell Ford and Tamir Rice and Sandra Bland and Sam DuBose, and I could go on and on. So no, nothing has changed. And listen, did they really need an investigation over there in Minneapolis to know that there was rampant discrimination? I mean, after all, their former police chief, Medario Arredondo, actually sued his police department because of racism. Derek Chauvin didn't get to compile 20+ personnel complaints because he was mistreating white people. They wouldn't stand for it. And so I find it insulting that now they're clutching their pearls and acting as though that this is something that they're just becoming aware of.
You know, I was talking to my colleagues here, asking many of them, do they feel safer now than 2 years ago? And every single one of them told me they don't, and they still have a deep mistrust towards the police. So Cheryl, I guess the question is, what needs to change? What needs to happen? Because according to what you're telling me, nothing has been done in the last 2 years.
Well, I mean, listen, the fish rots from the head, and so I know that there's a new chief there now, but I mean, Arredondo doesn't get any brownie points from me because while he was there, he understood what his department was all about. He grew up on it. He promoted in it. He allowed Derek Chauvin to remain in the field with 20+ personnel complaints. And we hear time and time again that police chiefs say they can't get rid of those errant officers who are out there abusing. But guess what? Working the field is not a right. And so I know firsthand that you can pull an officer out of patrol and tie them to the desk, have them work in the station or some other assignment where they're not dealing with the community day in and day out. And then, of course, we have to look at the elected officials because every police chief serves at the pleasure of an elected mayor. We heard a lot of lip service from politicians and civil rights attorneys who were there for the money grab to get that $20+ million record-breaking settlement and did nothing substantively to change the policies that caused the death of George Floyd. And so if you don't have people serving in your community who share your interests and are concerned about quality of life issues, replace them. Politicians understand one thing: votes.
Yeah. What about what President Biden did? He signed a police reform executive order. It will create a national database of police misconduct, ban the use of chokeholds unless deadly force is authorized, and require anti-bias training. Cheryl, does this go far enough, in your opinion?
It sounds sexy. Police chokeholds have been banned on many police departments, and when we saw them use one on Eric Garner, Daniel Pantaleo on the NYPD, that department told us that wasn't a chokehold, that was an upper body seatbelt restraint hold. And so police chiefs, sheriffs, and commissioners are crafty. They don't have to adhere to these federal mandates. All politics are local. And so these police chiefs are the ones that are going to discipline and adjudicate this misconduct when it occurs, or fatal encounters if we have one. And so no, this does absolutely nothing to stop what we see going on. The president talked about no-knock warrants being banned on a federal level, but guess who doesn't serve federal narcotics warrants? Federal agents. It's local police who do that. And so that whole dog and pony show they did around the death of Breonna Taylor would do nothing to stop another Breonna Taylor from being murdered. It's all very offensive. It's all code speak. It's all double talk. And I understand, being a black woman and a mother of 4 black men, why many are still distrusting of the system.